computer or something until you know for sure that you're going to do it. It is hard work, but it's really fun. It's really rewarding. My kids say really funny things to me sometimes. I crack up. We have projects that they have to do. And one time, one of the kids was supposed to draw a picture of her teacher and then tell about her teacher. And so she had a picture that she drew of me, which was mostly complimentary until she says, and my teacher has a really big nose. Because I do. For an American even, I have a really big nose. But compared to Chinese, my nose is gigantic. But one of the things I love to do with the younger kids is when we talk about facial features, I like to, you know how your uncle always took off your nose, you know, and it was really his thumb between his fingers. I like to do that with my own nose with the kids. And on screen, you guys, it looks really cool. It really does look like you're taking off your nose. And usually the kids just like stare. I'll do that with little boys who are, oh brother, the bobbin's running out. I'll do that with little boys. I'm just going to talk while I put more bobbin thread on, okay? I got new thread yesterday. Let me get that. I got new fabrics too. My husband took me to Walmart specifically to get new fabrics for covers, but I'll show you those in a different video. Right now I'm looking for my thread. Here it is. Okay, we'll see how quickly we can do this. What was I saying? Something about my job with the kids. Anyway, I've been doing it for more than 2 years, and the way that I found out about it, because I think if I had ever seen it like in a magazine or something, I would have thought it was a scam. But my husband saw it in Business Week, and I was in a really, really horrible job at the time, and so I really wanted out. And he saw this, and he said, wow, this looks perfect for you. And I looked at it, and it was teaching English to kids in China, and it was like, oh yeah. Because I love to teach anything, really. I just love to teach. And yeah, pretty much anything. If I can wrap my head around it, I'll teach it. Anyway, so I applied for it, got accepted right away, had to, you know, figure out how to get out of the job that I was in, which was kind of funny because my husband and I were discussing how much notice I had to give her, and she called me and fired me, so that was kind of funny. So I got to leave right away. and this job paid more than twice as much. Teaching paid more than twice as much, so that was pretty good. Anyway, so what was I saying? So yeah, so I was pretty nervous when I started, you know. I didn't know. I had never taught English as a foreign language before, and they didn't do a whole lot of training at that time. They had, you know, like a whole bunch of videos that you watched and a lot of stuff to read and everything, but they didn't really have much in the way of actually training you. And so I was pretty nervous, but apparently I did pretty well right away because kids started signing, or parents, I guess, started signing up for my classes pretty quickly, and I had a full schedule within like a month and a half or 2 months, which, you know, I wanted to be basically working full time. And so yeah, so anyway, so I love it. I really, really love it. It's just perfect for me. And I don't know what else to say. The kids are, some of them are really, really smart. Most of them are really smart. Some of them are smart Alyx. You know how that goes. And, you know, there's always some that are kind of troublemakers and stuff, but they're 7,000 miles away. They can't hurt you. And for the most part, when I tell the parents that a kid has been misbehaving or something, it's taken care of pretty quickly. If not, then I let VIP Kid know. Whoops, I guess I didn't thread the needle. This machine threads the needle itself, but I do have to tell it to do that. There we go. And I didn't tell it to thread the needle. Okay, so there we go. What was I saying? Yeah, VIP Kid takes care of, you know, if I can't get a response from the parents, then, you know, VIP Kid is pretty good about talking to the parents and everything. So I don't usually have ongoing problems with kids. And yeah. So let's see. Okay, so now I'm kind of ready, I think. I've got a few more scraps of paper, which I'll probably stick in, but I want to start putting in some of the fibers that I have. So here's like some cheesecloth. I don't want it to be too big, so I've got a little piece here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how this piece is sticking up right here. I'm going to stick it partially under there, so it's sticking out on this side and on that side. And I'm going to sew those edges down. Now, some of my color schemes I wouldn't use cheesecloth with. I like to use it with the earth tones because I'm usually doing something that I want to look older. And the cheesecloth really does give it kind of a tattered look. But for my journals, I don't have any that are close. My journals that I have more of a clean look to, I wouldn't use cheesecloth. I don't use cheesecloth in the journals themselves, and I wouldn't use it on the Frankenpaper either. And then some of these pieces of fabric, like see this has the frayed selvage. I want that part to stick out. So I'm gonna take this piece of paper here because I've got quite a bit of this coffee stained paper right there. I've got a big chunk of it. So I'm gonna take this paper and sew over the coffee stained paper. So like kind of through the middle of the coffee stained paper. I don't want to cover up this really cool torn edge, but I'm going to catch that fabric underneath it. I need to pull this a little bit closer to me. I hope that's okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to catch that fabric underneath it. There we go. And by the way, let's just check out what it looks like on the other side. Look at that. Isn't that cool with all the threads? I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, here's some more of this dark green. I think I want to really focus on getting this dark green fabric in here now because I don't want it all in one place. I want it really spread out, and I'm going to need to sew down the edges of it. So I want to get it in here. So I'm going to tuck some under this piece of fabric here and go ahead and sew down that edge. Okay, so see how the fabric, and I'll sew down these edges too at some point, but I'm not ready to yet. I've got a couple more pieces of this dark fabric that I want to put in. I still have a little bit of paper if I want to put some more paper on. I just kind of hold back on some of the paper just in case I want to slip some in someplace. Okay, so there's a lot of this paper still, so I want to cover up some of that. So I'm covering up some here with this fabric, and I'm gonna stitch over that piece of paper there. So I'm stitching down the paper and catching the fabric at the same time is what I'm doing. Okay, and then one more piece of this dark fabric. So I want to put it over on this other side. I want to put it sticking out from this corrugated cardboard looking paper. So you'll notice I don't put it under any straight edges because I'm kind of hoping to cover up those straight edges. Now, I used a lot of straight edges on this, so I probably won't get them all covered up, but one can hope. I have a lot of this I have a lot of this paper right here, but I'm not too terribly worried about that. I'm more concerned about covering up some of this stuff here, because there's an awful lot of that. Okay, so I have this fabric, which is really interesting. So I'm just going to barely cut into it a little bit and tear it if I can. It's such a small piece it may not tear. Yeah, I'm going to just have to cut it. But it frays really quickly, so that's fine. Okay, and I'm going to, I have some straight edges here, so I'm going to cover those up with it. Still leaving plenty of the paper showing underneath. But just covering up the straight edges. See, is that looking cool so far or what? I think it's looking really cool. Okay, and just in case the camera shuts off or something, what I do when I'm finished is I sew all the way around the edges, and then I go and I make sure that any edges that are sticking up get sewn down. So right now I'm kind of doing that because I'm going through and I'm putting fabrics and cheesecloth underneath some of the edges that are sticking up, especially the torn edges that I want to keep. I still have some of this fabric, so I think I'll cover up some more straight edges right here with that. I don't know why I keep moving my machine away. So I used to, for almost a year, for about 10 months, I worked all night on Friday nights and Saturday nights, which was all day Saturday and Sunday for the kids. And I mean, it was great. I made a lot of money that way, but that was what just really took a toll on me. It was just too much. I was not sleeping well. I don't sleep well as it is, and so having that on top of it, those weird hours on top of it, just didn't work out well. So I stopped, and that's one of the things that's nice about this job is you are totally in control of your schedule. You decide when you want to work and when you don't want to work. Okay, so I've got a straight edge right here. So now I'm putting some cheesecloth there that will kind of go somewhat over it. I've tucked it under it, but I'm also rolling it on top of it, and I'm going to sew it on top of it so that we don't have that huge straight edge there. We'll still have some of the straight edge, but most of it will be covered by the cheesecloth just to soften it a little bit. I'm not going to be able to do that to all of the edges, but I'm kind of looking for the ones that really stand out a lot. Like there's another one up here that I really don't like, and so I want to cover that up. So I'm going to tuck some cheesecloth under it and put it on top of it, roll it on top of it. I'm going to sew right over that cheesecloth, and I'm stitching down the edge at the same time. There we go. See that? So I just softened that edge. You can't see that there's a straight edge there. Where else do we have an ugly straight edge? Right here. That needs something. Okay, oh, here, let's put some of this fabric. This was from the inside of the cover, although I used the wrong side of it because I just wanted it to be brown. I didn't want that yellow showing. But I also used it for tabs on some of the cards. That almost looks like a card with a tab. That's funny. Okay, I have some more. Ooh, I have some more of this corrugated cardboard stuff. Let's ink that up, and we can use that to cover up some straight edges too. So I do see myself working for VIP Kid for a long time. I love the company. I've been there for a little bit over 2 years now, and I'm absolutely in love with some of the kids. Most of my students are just amazing, amazing kids. And yeah, I don't see myself leaving. When we move up to our house in the mountains, if they haven't gotten good internet for us up there, at that point I will probably have to quit, which is really, really sad. So I'm hoping that before we're ready to move, somebody will come along and put in some good internet up there. But I'm not sure how likely that is. I mean, we keep being told that there are plans to have good internet put in. You know, because there's like some program that every rural place in the nation is supposed to get good internet, but we haven't seen that, any evidence of it yet coming to where we are going to be. So we'll see. I will be very, very sad if I have to leave this job. Very sad, because I really love it. Okay, so there's one straight edge there that I'm putting some cheesecloth on top of. Is this looking cool, you guys? Are you getting bored watching me sew? I'm sorry. That's why I'm trying to think of things to talk about, to hopefully keep you from getting too terribly bored. I'm going to kind of wrap that triangular piece right there. So I'm kind of finishing up now. I'm just getting the last bits on here. This is a really crazy quilt kind of thing that I've done on this one. This part over here looks pretty light, so I'm going to slide in a piece of this fabric. It's actually a double layer of upholstery fabric because it was hemmed. There's some more of this fabric that we can stick in, so we'll do that. Let's see, this part here is kind of dark, so let's stick it in under this paper. There we go. That's kind of nice. I usually just put a little bit of fabric on. I'm putting a lot more on this one, and that's kind of fun. I like it. I like the mixture of fabric and paper. I just think it's really cool. That's one of the things that has just really appealed to me about this whole genre, is that mixture. Okay, I'm going to put some more of that paper right here. I hope I'm staying in camera for you guys. Put that down. Okay, so I'm going to start looking for places that need to be sewn down. I still have some fabric that I can stick into these places. Like I'm going to do some right here. I've got some edges to sew down here, and I'll get this fabric at the same time. There we go. Okay, and oh, I also have some of this yarn. This is really cool yarn. This is linen and rayon around it. It's some of my husband's. He usually just knits with natural fibers, so I'm not really sure how he got rayon. Other than that, it's really cool yarn, so he must have been convinced to try it. He doesn't know if he ever actually knit anything with it, because he, like I said, he does stick with natural fibers. I think we need something right there, and there's some paper that needs to be, some edges that need to be sewn down. In fact, let's just go along this whole thing. I'm going to go a little bit slower because I'm going to be churning some. Okay, I've got a bunch of edges that I need to get down, and I just added some cheesecloth that I want to sew over. edge there. Okay, that's good. And then we've got, oops, okay, and then we've got, I saw some edges, here we go. Right here, some edges that we need to do. So now I'm just kind of inspecting it and looking for any place that there are some edges that are not sewn down, because they're gonna get munched if they're not sewn down. And wherever possible or appropriate, I'll stick some yarn or string. I've got a little bit of twine that I can stick out as well. I don't want any really long pieces of yarn. But it's like, you know, the yarn and the string and cheesecloth and the fabric to a certain extent just add more dimension to it, to all of it. More textures. It's just really cool that way. Okay, I just saw something that I don't really like, so I want to put something right here. Did I have some more of that fabric? That I did. No, but I have some cheesecloth. Here we go, with some green thread stuck to it. So that'll be good right there. Let's just kind of glob it in there. So Bill, I don't know if you know, is 78, and he's working at Walmart just to make some extra money, and he's enjoying that. It's really fun, you know. And it's like all this hullabaloo about their wages. It's like, yeah, the wages themselves aren't very good. They're okay. They're, you know, above minimum wage, but the benefits are amazing, you guys. When you add up all the benefits, he's probably making twice as much as what his actual pay is. So, you know, it's not a bad paying job at all when you consider the benefits. And he's only working part-time. Their benefits are excellent. If you need a job, I would definitely check Walmart out. One here always has openings. Always looking for people. You may not be doing something that, you know, you imagine yourself doing for your entire life, but it's a great job to tide you over, and you may end up finding that you like it enough to work yourself up the ladder and make a career of it. Some of the top people started out as people who put things on shelves, stockers, I think they're called. You know, so it's not a bad job at all. Okay. I mean, Bill has run his own several different businesses. He's been a bank manager. You know, he's done a lot of different things, and he's enjoying this. You know? So it's a good thing to do. Okay, now I've got a long edge here. Actually, let's get this one here first. Oh, and I've got this whole edge over here that doesn't seem to really have anything on it. So let's put, can you guys hear my mumbling? Sorry. I've got a little piece of actual cardboard here, and I'm going to put that in this area that kind of looks like a white piece of paper. Maybe somehow we didn't get something onto it. So let's sew that down. See, this is coming along, right? We're not done yet. Okay, I like a little bit, like this is just from tearing open a package, okay? But it looks really cool and adds texture someplace on this where I need to break something up, like right here. It'll be perfect right there. these little scraps that you totally would throw away. Totally. But they can really look cool on something like this. And it's just exactly what I needed right there. Okay, so I've got a little bit more cheesecloth. I try to use up as much of the scraps as I can. Let's put some right here. We've got kind of a straight edge there. It doesn't look too bad, but, and we'll just, okay, we've got to sew this down anyway. Well, let's do it from this side. Got quite a few edges here to sew down. I'll just do those all at once. There we go. And let's just go ahead and go over this. There we go. And there's another edge right here that I want to get while I'm here. Oh, a couple edges. Let's put that paper underneath the fabric so we can hide the straight edge. Okay, stop. I want to slide some cheesecloth over that little straight edge right here. And I want to sew that fabric down. So I'm going to make it go just a couple stitches at a time here. There we go. Okay, and then let's get this. Good. Okay. What else do we need to? We've got a few more pieces of yarn that we can stick in here. Do we have any more edges? Yep, right here. Got an edge right there that needs to be sewn down, so I'm sticking some yarn into it. And as I'm sewing down these edges, I'm kind of looking for any other nearby edges that I should catch at the same time. Okay, like I've got a big one right here. Let's get all this sewn down. This is kind of curvy, so I'm going to have to go kind of slow. Stop a lot. I'm catching some of that yarn in it, which is good. Okay, I'm just not doing the very edge of the paper because I'm going to go all the way around and do that all at once. Okay, I've got some here, and that's actually a straight edge. Let's stick some of this yarn. I'm kind of wadding it up and then sticking it under, so there's a bunch of it sticking out, but it's not going to like just be a string hanging all over the place. I love this yarn. Just really, really love it. Adds so much texture to things. Isn't that pretty? Okay, there's some hanging out there, but that's okay. All right, I've got some edges right there. Let's see, what do I have to stick in there? I'm almost out of my fibers here, and that's good. Oh, here's a little bit of lace. Let's stick that on there. Where's the edge that I found, you guys? Here. Okay. It's easy to lose your place. Okay. Okay, now let's get this lace down. And I'm putting it right over the straight edge so that so it just softens the edge nicely. Okay, do we have any other edges that are up? Oh, that fabric needs to be sewn down. Now, if for some reason you end up having to stick it so that, like, maybe you're turning around or something, and you've got this part in underneath the arm, what you do is just kind of roll it, and then, you know, it'll all fit under there. But it's best if you can try to avoid having to go at that angle. You know, you can usually just turn it around. Okay, I see a few different places here that I need to sew. Okay, and here, okay, oh, there's fabric that needs to be sewn down here. Goodness. I'm almost done. Sewing down these little bits of fabric, because if they get pulled up, then they'll pull up the paper that's underneath, that they're kind of underneath. So we want them to be down good and tight. And I'm finding more paper edges that I need to sew down. And some of these places, I'll show you some of these places that maybe they're coffee stained paper or something, but after you sew all these colors on, they look kind of white. I'll show you what I do to kind of remedy that. It's not hard at all, but it makes a difference. These are some straight edges, but they don't look bad. Oh, and here's a bunch of straight edges. Let's get those. You guys be looking and tell me if you see some straight edges, okay? Not straight edges, but edges that aren't sewn down. They don't need to be straight, they can be curvy. It's whatever, we just want to get them all down. Here's some fabric that needs to be sewn down. Good. Okay, I think I'm going to use a little bit, I've got a little bit more of a scrap here of this fabric. I have a couple of places that just need a little bit more dark color.